back at the core shack, and now we're going back to looking at an actual exploration discovery. So this is a project and a company, Kaizen Discovery, that's looking at the Coppermine project, which is copper in Nunavut, looking at copper deposits that are almost similar to what we see in the Zambian copper belt. So this is very unusual, grassroots discovery, and so we're going to be talking to Sarah Clay. Hi, Sarah.
Hi.
So Sarah, what do you have here, and how did you guys find this project?
So we acquired the project back in November 2014. There was a small privately held company doing some work in the Coppermine basalts, which is this green swathe of rock here. This area is really well known. It's called the Coppermine basalts because you get this very high grade massive copper sulfide occurring within the volcanic pile.
Okay.
So it's pretty cool stuff. You get these sort of scattered along these
So copper
structures.
sulfide is what? What kind of minerals?
It's a copper ore mineral, basically. Right. Yeah.
What is it? Calcite, chalcopyrite?
Yeah. So this is calcocite.
So it's calcocite.
Yeah, this
okay.
is calcocite. Sorry.
Okay.
But you also get massive bornite, massive chalcopyrite, but mainly massive calcocite and massive bornite. So the area is known by that, but these things tend to be very poddy and not very continuous, but they're scattered all over this area. And the town of Kugluktuk, which is our local community, it used to be called Coppermine, and like the Inuit even used to like mine copper out of the river back in the day. So our history with Kaizen Discovery and some of the geologists that work for the company, we did a lot of work out in the Central African copper belt. We have a history working out there. And one of the key things with stratiform copper, which is what the Coppermine project is that it tends to occur in Neoproterozoic age sedimentary rocks.
This is Archean, is it?
This is Neoproterozoic.
Oh, this is Neoproterozoic, okay.
People have recognized this in the past. So Kaminko were up there in '92 and they plugged a couple of holes in here. Didn't really hit anything too excited. Right. But they identified the basal contact here, where these Neoproterozoic rocks sit on top of volcanic rocks. As the basal contact has some huge prospectivity for stratiform copper. Right. So it's like basically a redox front where copper-bearing fluids interact.
So when you're exploring for this, what are you looking for in terms of geophysical signature, geochemical, geology?
So it's
how do you target your drill holes?
It's a combination of all sort of elements, basically. For us, we looked at the geophysics. We noticed there's these big structures that go through the area, which we know host massive sulfide in the rocks that sit below. And then in combination with that, we target just from basic mapping and knowing where it is from historic mapping, this basal contact here.
It outcrops, does it?
It subcrops. It outcrops in this area here, and then all to the west is totally undercover.
Okay. So we're talking about a Proterozoic platform of sediments on top of the Archean, which is all folded?
This is just like layered basalts,
basically.
So it's like when these formed, it was an intracratonic rift. So it's like a new ocean was forming, and lots of volcanics came out, and then some red bed sandstones came up, and then later the marine sediments were deposited on top. Okay. So that's what we're looking at here. And to get the really sort of high grade copper in these systems, you see at the copper belt, for instance, or in Kuinor, is you need really reduced, dark carbonaceous rocks to get
sinks.
They're basically copper sinks. And what we started noticing with our drill program this year, we did something very different to what I feel most people are doing at the minute. And that's grassroots wildcat exploration drill holes. So
but how would you target the drill hole?
So we knew that there's some significant structures that go through the area. They tend to be controllers when it comes to the high grade zones in stratiform copper. So we planned our drill holes sort of adjacent to these, and also where we knew that the rocks were flat lying, and we had some indication just from magnetics and from even DEM, where you may have some graben-like structures and big sort of basin structures.
Well, what about IP for the massive sulfides?
Well, we weren't so interested in the massive sulfides, to be honest, which might sound crazy, but they tend to be like much smaller, where we want to find the billion tons at 3%.
Right.
And that's what this style of stratiform copper has the potential to yield that.
Okay.
So we targeted these basically because we felt if we moved that way, we'd go into a deeper water environment.
And out of the, okay.
When the sediments might be more reduced and
are they pillowed basalts, or these are just basalts? These are terrestrial.
Are terrestrial. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the Siberian traps or something.
Right,
it's
or
like,
the Deccan traps.
Yeah, the Deccan traps.
Right.
It's like these were just like.
So
massive.
the source of the copper are the basalts, and they get leached.
I think like.
And then the structure moves them around, deposited in the sediments.
Then you get another sort of combination of a big sort of system like of copper-bearing fluids. And another key thing to like the formation of this is the muskox intrusion, which is this ultramafic intrusion.
All right.
It's known of because it's a PGE target, platinum group metals, but that sits right underneath.
Oh, it's a heat source.
And it's a heat source.
Right.
So that causes like convection of copper-bearing fluids, and that's how you get your copper moving through the system.
So how much budget do you have this year for drilling and doing the work that you need to do?
We're planning a similar size program to last year, which is like a 10 drill hole, and we're just in the final stages of sort of securing funding for that, or we're in the process of looking for funding for it as well.
So what's your cash position right now about?
Cash position for guys, I can't actually talk on that, but just because I'm just being a geologist, I'm not a finance person, so I'd probably say some well-capped number, but you could get that information from the page if you wanted to add it in.
Okay, but basically your budget is mostly grassroots?
It's grassroots drilling. So this is very drill intensive in such that it's all undercover.
Right, and the geophysics doesn't give you much, you can't get any geology?
No,
except for structure?
Only our own like conceptual geology. So this drill hole where we hit, like I should mention this. So the last hole of the program hit 30 meters, almost 30 meters at 0.57% copper, and up to 3 intervals of 3% copper and 2%. So it's the best that's ever been actually discovered in this.
And it's ponding just above this. It doesn't go into that.
No, it stops directly there because that's your like nice like trap for the copper right in there. So really, to test this fully, you have to drill. Like that's the only way really to get a feel for it, and to drill closer to these structures, and to then do some big step outs.
And you drill all vertical?
All vertical, yeah.
Are the structures vertical?
The structures are more or less vertical.
Do you stay on the west part of it or the east part of it? Or?
It's so grassroots at the minute, we test both. So we've drilled some holes, like this one we went on, this one's right in the middle of a big structural zone. This one we drilled to the west, but we've also
Do you ever worry about drilling right down it?
I would worry about that just because that's not your best sort of drilling. Like we want to get as many drills in holes in as possible. You don't want to be stuck on a hole for 3 weeks. So at the minute, potentially in the future, I would like to drill some angled holes across the structures, but at the minute it's just vertical exploration holes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you very much, Joe.
Cheers.
Take care.
So that was Kaizen Resources that's looking at the Coppermine project in Nunavut on the coast. So this is a grassroots discovery looking at deposits that make sense in the Zambian copper belt, but in a different location. So it's really drilling right now. The target appears to be buried. They're doing geophysics, looking at structure, trying to pick out good targets. If they get the grade, there's things on the coast, so infrastructure might be better than a lot of places in Nunavut. So we'll take a look at this one maybe in more detail later.